الكريم حبيب العظيم انزل حالنا واشهالنا واهدنا بمددكم ونظركم مدد يا سيدي يا سلطان الأولياء ما شيخ عبد الفيض الداغستاني سيدنا محمد ناظم هذا الحقاني مدد يا سيدي يا مولانا الشيخ هشام الكباني. أنا عبدك العجيز الضعيف ومسكين وظالم وجهل, that if not by the grace of Allah that I cease to exist and that I ask to be nothing, and that Allah dress us from His oceans of rahmah and mercy. And always a reminder from myself, from Ati Allah, Ati Rasul, ulil amri minkum, that Mawlana Shaykh's teaching, we've entered into the holy month, Dhul Hijjah, and the month of Hajj, the month of pilgrimage, that we spent 12 months on this journey. Every year and every moment is a journey to the Lord of Power, and that when we end up on the 12th month, the month of completion, the month of pilgrimage at many different levels of reality, but for the common understanding, the 12th month we look to the 12th Surah and gives us an understanding of our life and our path. For those on the path of haqqaiq and reality, those on the path of self-realization that Prophet prescribed, who knows himself will know his Lord, and who doesn't know himself no way should speak on behalf of his Lord. We said many times that hadith, as if you take one holy hadith of Prophet is enough to govern our entire lives. That if you don't know yourself and the name that you have in each paradise, its reality for you, its purpose for you, don't speak on behalf of Allah. That which is so distant from you, you don't understand. That which is so close to you, you still don't know it, you don't know its names, you don't know its purpose. So means the way of marifah, the way of Gnosticism, the way of realities is busy your life getting to know yourself, and within yourself you'll find your Lord. He occupies a sweet place within the heart. I'm neither in the heavens or on earth, but I'm in the heart of my believer. If that believer busies themselves trying to know themselves, trying to clean themselves, trying to rid themselves of themselves, that this material world has fooled us. When they say the words and they use the words that they use as self-realization, and I'm going to rely on myself, it's the self that is destroying everything. That ego within us destroying everything, and Allah the Divine the Presence is teaching that I am a paradise and a reality within your heart, but you have to seek it. Those whom are looking for Allah on the outside is not there. Those whom looking for Allah within the heavens is not there. Those whom looking for Allah within their heart, they should find that peace, they should find that reality, they should find everything that the Divine has set aside for us. In the 12th month, 12th holy surah of Qur'an, Surah Yusuf and Allah reminds, this is a beautiful qissa, it's a beautiful story. And every year mashallah the years are coming faster, because I felt like we talked about this a few months ago and already 1 year has passed. We're back at Dhul Hijjah and it seems like within a blink of an eye this life is going, our time is ending. And Allah describes, we won't go into the length of all the surahs, but the importance of the masal and the example that Allah wants from us, Prophet wants for us, awliyaullah want for us, that Sayyidina Yusuf is, I have a dream that the 11 planets, the sun and the moon are bowing down to me. and goes to his holy father, a Prophet of Allah Sayyidina Yaqub, and says, don't tell your brothers because they're going to be jealous. At every moment we realize in our path that those whom their hearts are inspired, that inspiration is for themselves and not to be propagated everywhere, because your brothers and sisters may not have that station that Allah calling you, because most are falling by that. Most feel a calling within their heart, they describe to a few people and those people discourage them, don't do that. Why are you going to those people? Why are you trying to find yourself? Just you go for Jummah is enough for your religion. And Allah is describing a Prophet of Allah, the son is going to his father, a Prophet of Allah, and describing the dream he's having, and he's telling him, don't tell your brothers who are all Prophets of Allah that they're going to be jealous and maybe harm is going to come to you. If the Prophets of God have jealousy, imagine what we are capable of each other. Means then keep your path to yourself, that this path is uniquely for me. If God is giving me and granting me an inspiration to seek a higher reality, then he goes to his father and understands that there's going to be jealousy, there's going to be conflict. Then Allah immediately takes the boy by a battle within his brothers, they become jealous, they throw him into a well. And this is just a very quick summary so that we understand the blessings of this month, because we use Surah Yusuf as a marking point in my life. Every time I want to check if my path is correct from these turuqs, then I should be looking to Surah Yusuf and the life of Sayyidina Yusuf as an example, that my path is going to be uniquely mine. And even my father is a great Prophet, what Allah took to him means his brothers took him and threw him in a well. Means that my path is so unique that Allah is going to throw me into my own chad, in my own well. My father is not going to raise me. Allah wanted a reality for Sayyidina Yusuf that was not in the hands of Sayyidina Yaqub. Sayyidina Yaqub could have trained him, but his reality was different. So, what I want for you, not even your father going to give it to you, you have to be tested. So it means we all have to be tested. Our father, saint or plumber, whatever that person is, everyone has a unique grave. Everyone has their own grave, everyone has their own path. You can't ride on your mother and your father's path. So it means my path is a unique path. At all times I'm reminding myself, and what I remind myself is that Sayyidina Yusuf thrown into a hole and immediately smashed his knees as a young child. So my path is going to be difficult. My path is going to be a sense of isolation. That how come all of a sudden I wanted to reach You my Lord, and I find all the friends that I had, they're no longer interested in the same interest that I had with them. Oh, what's going on? Why are they isolating from me? Why is it when I sit with them I don't seem to have the same interest in the conversations? And Allah reminding Sayyidina Yusuf himself each of the Prophets are inspiring and perfecting our message. We are a sum of all of their realities. You can't reach a reality without all of them, and they're coming and inspiring. I was put into the well because our path is unique. You can't be mixed with other paths, you can't be mixed with other realities. What God has for you is uniquely for you, and you have to be isolated like the seed that wants to become a tree and wants to bear fruits. But if the seed is always on the surface and always moving around the market and the bazaar and the stores, what reality is that seed going to bring? Absolutely nothing. So Sayyidina Yusuf comes into our life that you're going to be isolated. Things that are non-important for you and friends that are not related for your reality are going to be pruned, they're going to be cut off. If God really wants to inspire and to raise you, He's going to take you like a seed and put you into the dirt where you become completely isolated and cut off. And only then can you begin to do your practices and do your meditation and your contemplation, and all that's important for our lives is based on that. That every night I take a hisab that who did I bother and who did I disturb with my hands, with my mouth, with my entire being. What is my life and what is my accounting every night, so that my next day can be better. There are those who never take an accounting, and every day is progressively worse than the next. If you don't take an accounting, how do you know what you did wrong the night before? So that isolation is our whole life, our whole path. But every night I take an accounting of what is my life and what is the purpose of my life and what am I doing with my existence. Am I harming anyone? Am I harming myself? Am I reaching the goal of becoming a tree? And a tree that bears fruit, that had some purpose on this earth. Not an animal that just ate and went to the bathroom. And then we find in the qissa that when that reality is ready, and Sayyidina Yusuf is ready, been isolated, and now his path is going to begin, Allah sent a caravan through the desert. Because this is the caravan, what was that guy he said, this is the caravan of despair? He said, no, it's not the caravan of despair, this is the caravan of hope and realities. The turuqs and the way of reality, these are the caravans of Allah, that they go through the deserts of isolation and the reality of the desert. Those whom Allah isolating to reach their reality, and they find those people within the hole. They found Sayyidina Yusuf and took him out. They saved him from that hole, and they understood that there's going to be a blessing in this one, let's take him. Means your path chooses you, not you thought you chose your path. Because if you give credit to yourself, you give credit to your cleverness, that you were clever and you found it. No, in reality you didn't find anything, your path found you. Allah had written and predestined that reality, that on the day of promises we were promised on a path, that a station can't be achieved unless it's been written by Allah. Every goodness is written upon the souls. It's the cleverness of the individual, that are they taking the steps to realize what Allah wanted for them. And Sayyidina Yusuf comes into our life and says that they're going to come and get you, don't worry. Those whom destined to take care of you, they will pull you from that hole. And they will take you into the marketplace and they will begin to sell you. And that has a very deep reality, that you thrown into the well by not your will. It was not your will that you were thrown into that hole. Your will was to achieve what Allah wanted you to achieve. The rest of the path is taslim and submission. Because when they come to take you out, the individual has so much will, so many comments, so many desires, so many opinions, none of which are important to reach the reality. That's why the example of a caravan that bound, this is a Prophet of God. We're talking about our minuscule beings, when Allah is giving the example that this is such a beautiful story and such a beautiful surah, that this is a beloved Prophet of the Divinely Presence, so beloved that his beauty was completely emanating. And he's teaching, he comes into our life and teaches that you're not going to have any will. When they take you out, they came and they bound him. He couldn't say, oh I'm the son of Sayyidina Yaqub, what are you doing crazy people, let me go. It was of no importance. Means surrender your will, the will of desires, always having to think that you know the path, you're going to figure the path. So our life is about complete taslim, complete surrendering. Every time I'm complaining, every time I have an issue, every time I have a difficulty, I'm here to reach my reality. That's why it's a surah and an example of Sayyidina Yusuf's life for us to reach our reality. Because every time you get tested, We go back to remembering and Sayyidina Yusuf reminds, "You're in a hole, what are you worried about? They threw me in a hole and broke my knees. They took me out and didn't ask me anything and bound me, and they took me into a marketplace as a slave, as a abd, because I'm going to reach this reality as a servant of Allah, not as a king, not as somebody who thinks he's something." Because it's a reminder constantly in our life, as soon as you think you're something, Sayyidina Yusuf is coming and saying, "No, no, I was taken into this reality as a servant of Allah with no will of my own. Taken into the presence of a king and brought into the marketplace, and that king Malik al-Aziz. The sifat of Sayyidina Aziz is a big reality because Allah nothing escapes Allah's azimat. That king is a symbolic king, that they place you under the hand of awliyaullah, that they are dressed with aziz, they're dressed with Allah's Divinely power, they're dressed with Allah's Divine rizq and sustenance. And that king identified that student, that servant, that prophet of Allah, because every step of it is a step for me. That they're going to come, my turuq is going to come, my turuq is going to take me, and there's going to be a big wali in charge of me. And that wali is going to test everything about my reality. And he took him, and the wife said, "Take him because he's going to be a barakah for us." Said, "Okay, we take him into the house." Took him into the house, and because of his beauty everything was attracted to him. Means now that palace and that way is that you met from these awliyaullah who are representatives of the Divinely kingdom. That Malik is representing the kingdom of Allah, and that servant trying to enter now into the holy kingdom of Allah. He left the dunya, put into a child, brought not with his will but bound, that taslim and submit. As soon as you begin to submit, they send the big awliya who are in charge, and that wali now going to take us into that Divinely kingdom. And in that Divinely kingdom means that with every dress the saints are putting upon the soul of their students. What Sayyidina Yusuf had the biggest difficulty was with the wife, Zulaykha. The wife represents the hubba dunya and the love of dunya. Had nothing to do with her. It's not a love story between a prophet and a woman. What Allah care for love stories? This is to do with marifah and the reality, that woman represents the hubba dunya, that when this barakah dress you and this barakah blesses you, everything in the material world is going to run after you. Be careful. Why? Because Allah loves you, the signs of His love all around you. His biggest battle was with hubba dunya, constantly trying to give itself to Sayyidina Yusuf until there was a big event in which the dunya grabbed Sayyidina Yusuf trying to make a fornication with his reality. And then the event where the king enters into the room, they say, the whole of dunya is all over you, what happened? And they said that, look, if this dunya is attacking his front means he was going after dunya. Because that's why awliyaullah keep insisting within our lives, monitor your dunya. There's a lot of barakah being dressed upon you. If this dunya begins to run towards you and you run towards it, you're losing your path from Allah. So they came and said, check in which direction the lady has attacked him. And they found that the lady had attacked him from the back. Means that the dunya love was coming after him and he was running. At that time he's safe, he comes into our life. The dunya is going to be attracted to you but you run from it, you keep running from it until his dialogue in Qur'an is that, I think it's better for me to go into prison. First one you're thrown into. The level of awliyaullah begin to teach when you feel that all these attractions are coming to you, all of the juzba and the lights are coming to you, and this dunya is moving towards you. You have to keep praying to Prophet, it's time for me to go into seclusion. Ya Sayyidi Ya Rasul Kareem, Ya Habib al-Azim, I need to be isolated, I need to go into khalwa, I need to live a life in which I isolate myself, in which Sayyidina Yusuf I think prison is better for me, I think jail is better for me than what this dunya is planning for me. Means he spent 7 years in isolation. If Sayyidina Yusuf spends 7 years in isolation, we have to spend 700 years in isolation. Means we take a life of isolating. So from Asr to Maghrib or whenever people have time from work, they come home and they isolate themselves. They put for themselves a khalwa and they begin to meditate and contemplate, and they say, all the allurements of this dunya are distracting me and making me to be drunk by it, and in the end I'm going to be a loser by it. So when I isolate myself and I play my salawats and I lock off the room like a closet, I tell myself, this is my grave. If I'm scared of a dark room, imagine what you're going to feel in a dark grave. Until you overcome that and you be comfortable with yourself, and all the badness begins to come out and you sense it, you smell it, you understand it, and you begin to make your salawats, make your tafakkur. And that 7 years begins to open its realities. That when you are taking a path of isolating and taking a path of hisab, means now we're understanding the Hajj. Now Hajj is a tourist attraction, to go and spend $15,000 and come back with some gold. Before they were reaching realities and then with permission going for Hajj. Now everybody going for Hajj come back with no realities. So Sayyidina Yusuf is telling us the first steps is seek to understand yourself. As soon as you begin to isolate and realize what happened is now the king, that wali comes back and says, bring him out. Means I want to understand now what's in you. Allah has deposited a secret upon you. The dialogue with the awliya begin to teach that, come on out and now serve the kingdom of Allah. Before what you had was not enough for you to serve Allah. That's why we say awliyaullah, they serve Allah. There are 124,000 awliyaullah on this earth. The 124,000 servants of God, true servants of Allah who have been tested, who have been isolated, who have been secluded, and as a result of their seclusion the king came out and made him to be the head of all the finances of Misr. Means what? Allah opened from Sifat al-Aziz wa Sifat al-Rizq, that we're going to give you a mulk and we're going to make an authority over you that you control. You control the wealth of the heavens. If Allah give you control over the wealth of the heavens, this dunya is but under your feet. Only at that time, if that training hasn't come, going to open, and how is that person going to be a wali? That person just a seed that never planted and never grew. The only thing you can do with the seed is probably throw it at someone, there's no benefit. So Sayyidina Yusuf is coming in this holy month and reminding that anytime you're confused about your path, look at those steps in his life. Do you feel you're isolated? Okay, I was in a hole. Do you feel like you're being tested? You better believe it. Do you feel that dunya is running after you? Run from it. Are you taking a time to make your isolation and your tafakkur and constantly meditating and contemplating? And at that time in your khashf and in your spiritual connection, you're going to see that malik and those awliya. Those saints begin to appear to you to give you the keys of the heaven. At that time everything will be brought back. And then he saw his father when he was the king of that position. At that time his father came and everybody came and they made sajdat al-ihtiram. And Holy Qur'an describes that Sayyidina Yaqub is a prophet of Allah bowed to the feet of his son. So when they don't like to be respectful, they're not reading Holy Qur'an. The Prophet of Allah bowed in ihtiram to what that son had been dressed with, of what realities Allah had dressed. It's not the physical, we're talking from the spiritual. That there's a whole sequence in which to reach that sainthood, to reach that reality. And we pray that Allah dress us and bless us from these realities, and that we go into Sayyidina Ibrahim and the reality that moving up from the 12 all the way to the realities of Kawthar. Because you take that 12 and multiply it by the power of 9 and the 9 big Sultan al-Awliya, and it opens 108, which is Surah al-Kawthar. Means that the hatt of dunya, it's the perfection of the path, perfection of the character, that we must be on a path in which to reach realities. These awliyaullah are going to become and dress the soul with the treasures of the heavens. These are the treasures of Prophet. These are the treasures of knowledges. It's not cash, Allah doesn't care for cash. These are the treasures of the soul and the treasures of all the Divinely realities to be dressed upon the soul. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon wa salaamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen bi hurmati Muhammad al-Mustafa wa bi siri Surat al-Fatiha.
Sidana Nabi, Sidana Nabi, Sidana Nabi, Sidana Nabi.